After years of struggling and really becoming a little bit better, especially last season for the Chicago Bulls, the Bulls now have a team where you can actually finally say they have a great chance of making it into the playoffs this season. With adding Lonzo Ball and his amazing playmaking ability, adding him on the roster is going to be the glue piece, in my opinion, to the Chicago Bulls team. When you look at what he can do for this team on the offensive end of the basketball court with his playmaking ability, he's going to set everybody up for great opportunities and make every player on the team better. And his ability to catch and shoot and cut in the paint for wide open opportunities, that's really going to be his main role right now for the Chicago Bulls team. And I believe that he's going to do that job really well. And in the preseason, he did show that. Also adding DeMar DeRozan, a guy who is really going to be the third option on this team. This guy, he's going to be able to play his game. He's going to be able to get great opportunities in the mid-range. And not only that, but DeMar DeRozan has transcended his game in many ways, especially with his playmaking ability now. He's averaged a career high last season, 6.9 assists. And playing in that San Antonio Spurs system, DeMar DeRozan has definitely grown as a playmaker. And that's really the common trait on this team in general. A lot of guys are unselfish, and this is what's going to make this team very successful and why these guys can win a lot of games. I think DeMar DeRozan is another guy who is an all-star, who's going to give that experience to this team and really help these younger guys develop into great players. And DeMar DeRozan is just going to do his job. He's going to get buckets. He's one of the best isolation players in the NBA as well. He ranked third last season in that category, ahead of guys like Kevin Durant as well. That's very impressive. And for him coming into the Chicago Bulls team, it's definitely going to give him an opportunity to prove himself on how still good of a player he actually is, because a lot of people haven't been getting him as much credit, especially since he was out in the Western Conference playing with the Spurs and not really the best team at the time. But him now going to this Chicago Bulls team at the age of 32, he is getting a little older. This is going to be the perfect opportunity for him to show how still good of a player he is, because he's grown still as a player. We all know, of course, about the addition of Alex Caruso to this team. You know, the Lakers, that is a huge blow for them, losing out on a guy like Alex Caruso. But what he's going to provide for this Bulls team is just consistency as a great bench player. He's going to do a little bit of everything. I mean, I believe he had 10 assists one game in just 20 minutes of play. He's just going to bring that energy to this team. He's going to be able to do a little bit of everything. And he's a guy who's going to be one of the best bright spots of the Chicago Bulls team. He's a great shooter. He's a great defender. He can attack the rim. He's a very athletic player. He's going to provide many great things for this Bulls team. And I believe that, of course, adding Derrick Jones Jr., another guy who is going to be a really good addition to the Chicago Bulls team. You know, he's going to be another great defensive presence, I believe, on this Bulls team, because, of course, he's a very athletic player in general. That's what he's going to definitely provide for this Bulls team. And, of course, he's going to provide many highlights on that end of the basketball court with his offense as well. But what's really going to be his calling card on this Bulls team is his defense, because, well, you know, that's been the main talk this season for the Chicago Bulls. It's their defense. And, you know, many people are very skeptical about how good of a defensive team they'll be with these additions that what they have now on this team. You know, they are, when you look at them on paper, yes, they look separate. DeMar DeRozan's not really known for being a great defender. Not even Zach LaVine. But I'm going to get more into that just in a little bit. But overall, what I have to say about Derrick Jones Jr., I believe that he is going to be a really good piece for this team, especially when it comes to the defensive end. This Bulls team legitimately has a 10-man rotation of guys who they can come up with the lineups with. And now on to me talking about the Chicago Bulls team on the defensive end of the basketball court. This is really going to be, you know, I believe people are really underestimating this team when it comes to their defense. I believe that this team can be actually a very surprising team on the defensive end of the basketball court. I believe when they even added Nikola Vucevic to the roster last season, they were a 12th in defensive ranking. They went up to 10th in defensive ranking with him on the roster. But of course, that was towards the end near of the season when they added him on the roster. But I believe that coming into this season, they may be an average defensive team at best in the NBA. They may be in the top 15, you know, in the defensive rating. The reason why I believe this is going to help out so much, though, is for Zach LaVine, because Zach LaVine, you know, he's not really known for his defense, but you have to think about for him, you know, this guy is the best player on this team. He is the face of this franchise. And for the most part, Zach LaVine was having to carry the load a lot, especially on the offensive end of the basketball court. So when it came to defense, it really wasn't much a big thing for him because, well, this guy was carrying this Bulls team each and every single night. And on top of that, though, he missed a lot of games as well last season. But coming into this season especially, Zach LaVine is going to have a lot of pressure off of him for him to play his true game. And I believe this is going to be the best season of his NBA career. And he's going to be a much better player on the defensive end. He even showed that this season in the Olympics as well. And I believe that coming into this season, I believe his effort on the defensive end and just especially the will of wanting to win because, well, he's never been a winner before. Adding all of these guys to this team is going to help him out so much on the defensive end, especially of the basketball court. He's going to be one of the best offensive players on this team. We all know that. He's the best player on the team. But adding all of these other guys is just going to put all the pressure off of him to be the best player that he can be. And when I talk about Nikola Vucevic, I believe Nikola Vucevic is really one of my favorite players on this team as well. Because now with all these additions they have on this team, you know, he's going to have the ability to do just a little bit of everything. He's going to come off screens, be able to shoot threes. He's going to be able to do a little bit of really everything on the offensive end of the basketball court for this Bulls team. And, you know, he's going to be a guy who's going to be consistently getting a double-doubles just about every night. That's what he's really known for. And on the defensive end, he's going to be a decent rim protector on that end for this Bulls team. I don't really expect anything special from him on the defensive end of the basketball court. But the guy who is definitely in the big talks of really just having a huge impact for this Bulls team and especially their future is Patrick Williams. Patrick Williams is a very, very intriguing prospect, and if he can develop his game into the Kawhi-like player who we think he can possibly become one day, this guy's going to be a very, very special player. And now with all of these additions as well on this team, it's going to give him the opportunity to just grow, and when his time comes, he's going to be just in the right situation to really take that next level up compared to having to grow his game and try to get better now. He can take his time and really just grow and ascend over time, and that's really going to be a huge plus for him and his development. And of course, we know about Kobe White, but he is injured. I believe he had a shoulder injury and he's still in the process of recovering, but he'll be back soon and really take on that six-man role for the Chicago Bulls team. On paper, man, I like the Chicago Bulls team a lot. I like everything they've done. I really enjoyed their preseason as well and the games that they played. Even though the competition really wasn't the greatest, they still put on a show and beat teams by a huge margin as well. And I believe that this Bulls team, when you look at them in the Eastern Conference, you know, the East is very deep this season. The East has so much competition, and it's going to be a very, very tough, year in the Eastern Conference. But I believe that this Bulls team, with all the young guys, especially who they have on their roster, and more so when you have younger teams like this in the NBA, there's going to be a will to want to compete every single night and really win a lot of games. So I believe this Bulls team can surprise many people and probably end up being a top 4 or 5, really top 4 seed in the Eastern Conference this season. And, this team is going to be really good. And as I said earlier, on the defensive end, we got to give them a lot more credit. I believe they'll be a little bit better of a team than we think so. And you got to add on to the aspect that, Billy Donovan, even though some coaches like Tom Thibodeau, for example, his teams in Minnesota weren't always the best defensive team. They were sometimes ranked the worst defensive teams in the NBA. Having Billy Donovan especially, he's known for, having pretty good defensive systems for his teams. And I believe that this same thing can happen for this Bulls team, but we will see what really happens when it comes during that time in the regular season once it starts. All the talent that is assembled now on this roster for this team to grow, I won't be surprised that Zach LaVine may possibly end up re-signing with the Bulls on a much bigger contract than he has, of course. And this team, they have a very, very bright future. They made a lot of good moves, and it's really, really good to say that Chicago Bulls basketball is finally back. Having them in the competition as well is going to be a really big jump for the NBA. But I hope you guys enjoyed this brief video today. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel for more basketball content each and every single week. Have a good day. Peace.